Hello everyone, I'm Miraj and today I will review the new cards from the upcoming expansion The Way of the Witcher. I will also give them a vote from 1 to up to 5 stars depending on how bad or good they are. So 1 stand for they are very bad and the 5 stars stand that they are very good actually. I will also share some thoughts, examining also similar cards that already exist and some insights on tactical and strategic options that they can create with existing cards. Now it's time for monsters and we have this card hybrid beast mutant that reads whenever you consume 1 or more units, boost self by 1. There is one card that is similar, which is the Vram Warrior, and also another gold card which is the She-Troll of Vergen. And I think this card is actually very good. But we have to remember that this is a 4 provision card. It can be very important in decks, and I can definitely see this card having a decent value of 7 for 4. Remember though that Echimaras that spawns with the overwhelming hunger ability do not consume, so that will not boost this card by 1. It's also a very good removal bait at the beginning of the turn, a very good proactive and cheap move for the first round. So I can definitely see slots for this card, even as a 4 provision filler that will still be solid and have decent value. So I will give this card a 3 out of 5 stars. Spontaneous Evolution is also a tricky card. Organic, boost an allied unit by 4 and gain an additional effect based on unit's category. Insectoid, spawn 3 drones on boosted unit's row. Beast, boost that unit by 8 instead. Ogroid, give all Ogroids in your hand 2 armor. So this is also a good card. The Araka Swarm leader, I think, is not played only because there are not enough organic good cards, and also the Insectoid archetype is not developed enough. But with this expansion, I think it will be a solid tier 2 deck with very good tempo plays, with very good control plays. We can also think about the Predatory Dive, for example, with engines that can be very threatening. And Spontaneous Evolution can be another key organic card that can fit perfectly in a deck like that. Similar cards are Araka's Nest, Adrenaline Rush. We must think that this is a very good 8 for 5 by its own in an Insectoid deck, spawning 4 drones and boosting a unit by 4. And you are not fearing boosting 1 point drone, let's say, so there's no punish. Your units are not going to be very tall. Next we have Phooca, or Phooca, which is an Ogroid, Veil Thrive. Units played by your opponent trigger this unit's Thrive ability. Similar cards, we can think about the Necker Warrior. It will not use that many units of the opponent, and will also mess up a little bit with the Thrive curve. So it will see for sure some experimentation, but at least until Ogroid archetype will be not a thing, this card will be not that good. So I will give it 2 stars out of 5. And here we have Either, I think it's Either. Okay, Insectoid, and there is Order, Adrenaline 3. So remember, this ability will work only if you have 3 or less cards in your hand when you play it. When you play or you have it on the board. In this case, it's an Order effect. So, Order, Adrenaline 3, consume all tokens on this row and gain immunity. Whenever you consume 1 or more units, spawn a drone on this row. So this last effect is an engine effect, and it's completely separate from the Order effect. A similar card is Endrega Queen that spawn other drones on the row. And I think this card is very good actually, because it has a very high base strength, so it's a 7 and can play for some Thrive, and obviously we can think about the Kikimor Queen. It's also very difficult to remove with cheap options. even if you exchange this for a Becker Rock Slide, it's still an 8 provision card for an 8 provision card, which is actually very fine, especially if you think that maybe with either you also activated some Thrive units on your side of the board, so the differential between your points and the opponent points is quite in your favor. This card has also a high point ceiling, so I think this is a very good card, and together with the next card will make the Insectoid archetype viable, at least for it to be a tier 2 deck. Just a 4 out of 5, very good card. And this is the other Insectoid that will make Insectoid archetype viable, in my opinion. And it reads the name is Koshchey. I think it's pronounced like that, but I'm not very good at pronunciation, and maybe it's some Polish thing. So this is also an Insectoid, and it reads Thrive. Whenever this unit's Thrive is triggered, spawn a drone on this row. Adrenaline 4, whenever this unit's Thrive is triggered, spawn an Endrega Larva on this row instead. Similar cards to these are Endrega Queen or Kikimor Queen. And I think this card is very, very good, because the base strength is still quite high, so it will not be that easy to remove. It can also be used with the Caranthir combo as the Kikimor Queen, and has a very, very high point ceiling. Also, at the end of the round, you will gain Endrega Larvae instead of drone, so they will even get more value for the Thrive proc that you will for sure get, because Larvae starts with 1 point of strength. So I think this is overall a very, very good card, and will definitely see play. So I will give it 4 out of 5 stars. Now we move on with Nilfgaard, and here is Coated Weapons, a tactic that reads damage an enemy unit by 5, and Death Blow, so if you kill that unit, banish it and spawn a copy of it on top of the opponent's deck. And there are some similar cards, maybe not something that has both removal and spawning of a card on top of the opponent's deck. So we can think about Cynthia, we can think about Asir that can put a card back in the opponent deck, and also all the other removal options like Assassination. And this card is very combo oriented or deck manipulation oriented, obviously. I can think of a nasty thing that you can do with Ihuarraquax, let's say, and also the other Viper Witcher's Mentor. We can use this also out of Tristicay. We can use the spawned card with Cantarella. We can exchange with Ophiri Merchant the cards. So I think that this card is very, very interesting. Sometimes these ideas are good on paper, but then when you actually put it, you try it in game, they are quite inconsistent. So I will give this a 3 out of 5 stars with the benefit of the doubt, definitely. Viper Witcher Adept. Witcher, at the end of your turn, boost self by 1 if opponent has more cards in the deck than you. And there are no really similar cards right now. We can think about the Magnet Division as a 4 provision engine in Nilfgaard. This can be good with the Portal. There are also very good 4 provision Assimilate engine. You can think about coupling this with the Portal and maybe reuse the Portal with Asir and something like that. I think also that this will be a little bit inconsistent, because if the opponent's deck think quite a bit, and we can think also about the Novigradian Justice and all the other thinking tool that other decks can have, it can play for maybe not enough value. So I don't know, I will give this card a 2 out of 5 stars. The next one is Viper Witcher Mentor, which is a Witcher still Nilfgaardian, and reads deploy, set power of this card to match provision cost of the top card in your opponent's deck, and Adrenaline 2, so if you have 2 or less cards in your hand as you play it, so you can also play it as a third to last card, and you will still get the bonus effect, let's say. Set power of this card to match provision cost of the highest cost card in opponent's deck instead. Similar cards to this is a Spotler, which boosts depending on the cards that it reveals on the opponent's deck. With the right manipulation tools, this card can be quite nasty. It will be tricky, but Nilfgaard is also one of the factions that can actually abuse this kind of stuff best than others, because it can copies easily with, let's say, Artorius Vigo and other cards. So definitely this card will see experimentation. It's not that easy to play or to build around a good deck, so I will give it 3 stars out of 5 with the benefits of the doubt. Next card is Kolgrim, and there is really nothing like this card, and it reads Adrenaline 2, at the end of your turn boost self by the difference between number of cards in player's deck. Here you cannot see the Witcher category, but Kolgrim has the Witcher category, so don't worry. And now, can this be useful in hyper-thin decks? I think so. I think this card will be quite good, but we have to see it played, let's say. As I said before, on paper a card can seem good in the right condition, but maybe then it plays like trash, or it can be also the other way around. So we have actually to try this and figure out if in a hyper thin Nilfgaard deck can be good. So I will give it 3 stars out of 5, and also this time I will give it a benefit of the doubt. The next one is Ivar Evil-Eye, a Witcher that reads deploy, swap Ivar's power with an enemy unit, and Adrenaline 2, damage an enemy unit by 4 instead. Similar cards, we can think about Regis Higher Vampire in the fact that it absorbed the boost, which is similar, and also Alchemist, but Alchemist works only with allied units. A lot of people are very hyped by this card, but I think this card is not that good, because you cannot have the best effect as a last say, because if you have 2 or less cards in your hand, you will get the downgraded effect and just do 4 damage. Nilfgaard has still a lot of very good control option and removal options, so I don't think this card is very good. I think this card is decent, so I will give this 2 out of 5 stars. Another Nilfgaard card, Viper Witcher, still again, you cannot see it written here, but the tag is Witcher, and it reads deploy, put bleeding 2 on an enemy unit, and Adrenaline 6, so if you play this card and you have, when you use it, 6 or less cards in your hand, spawn a copy of that unit on the top of the opponent's deck. And there is nothing similar to this, and I can definitely see this as one of the best deck manipulation tools that the Nilfgaard has to get the most out of other cards like the Viper Witcher Mentor and so on, or also Cantarella. There are a lot of cards that can be used paired together with the Viper Witcher, or also the coated weapons that we saw before. So 3 out of 5, and I think I will try to get some deck manipulation Nilfgaard 2 as soon as the expansion arrives. And yes, benefit of the doubts also in this one. This wraps things up. I hope you enjoyed my review of the new cards of the upcoming expansion. Let me know in the comment if I missed some important interaction between cards. And what else? Have a nice day and see you soon.